Hey guys, it's Alex and welcome to the Geeks Table. Apart from doing thorough reviews, I have this special set of videos where I pick up a new phone and compare its camera against two legends, Nokia 808 PureView and Nokia Lumia 1020. And today their competitor is the iPhone 14 Pro Max. The sensors of the Nokias were massive for their time, and the iPhone finally got there. So we shall have the 42 megapixel versus 48 megapixel battle. For those who are new here, let me describe the process. So we usually start with a guessing game. It's a slideshow of about 20 photos and you have around 5 seconds to guess which one was shot by which phone. And afterwards I cover a few other interesting things about all three cameras. So feel free to use the timecodes, tweak the playback speed, it's all up to you. So now I'm about to start the slideshow, but please don't just do the plain guessing, okay? Also pay attention to which photo you admire the most, Nokia 808, Lumia 1020 or iPhone 14 Pro Max. And here we are. Did you guess all of them? Was it easy? Please write down in the comments, I'd love to hear from you. We'll proceed in a minute, but I just have to share this masterpiece with you. It's an iPhone 4S, which is just 1 year older than the Nokia camera phones, and the company called Xreart turns old devices into interior accessories. It even has a signature of Steve Jobs. And it's not just boring parts glued to a piece of paper, they're nicely aligned and signed so that it catches an eye of everyone who passes by. Since you've clicked on this video, I assume that you're interested in retro phones as much as I do, so consider Xreart as your Christmas or birthday present. I was lazy and got the assembled kit, but you can order a DIY option to assemble it yourself. And then just a final touch, and we have a new frame for our geek area. The link will be in the description. So now let's deep dive into the actual results, shall we? I think the main feature that outstands the iPhone's photo and probably helped you in the guessing game is the Deep Fusion, the special algorithm that makes the photos look extra sharp. I'd say in most scenarios it looks useful, like here. The bush looks more juicy, more volumetric, you can even feel the shape of it. Or here, the image of the iPhone is just next level. Nokia's are too flat. I mean, they're not too bad, but in these photos, the structure, the depth is really important, and Deep Fusion gives us what we want. But it's not always perfect. Here it's kinda okay, like the palace is really sharp and the grass is sharp as well, but I wish it could be less aggressive though. Both Nokia's photos have this mood, like you can feel the autumn, the sunset, all the vibes of the park. But let's switch to another example. Here, Deep Fusion actually ruined the photo in my opinion, and 808 did a better job. I wanted a photo of the grass in general, with some soft gradient from sun to shadow. Lumia messed up with the white balance, but we'll talk about it later, and the iPhone made the shadows brighter and over-sharpened all the grass. So Deep Fusion is great, but I wish we could disable it manually. Alright, enough with the Deep Fusion, now let's talk about the white balance. I intentionally shot all the photos with auto white balance to see how the cameras would set it up. Once there is something green in the shot, like a plant or a tree, Nokia 808 moves to a more warm setting, and Lumia on the contrary goes to some cold one. Oh, and this photo was a hard one to capture. The sun was somewhat between pink and violet, and both Nokia phones missed it. iPhone tried to brighten the shadows again and messed up with the white balance. This telephoto camera from the iPhone actually did a better job, and this is something most close to the reality. So when the scene is quite complicated, Lumia 1020 goes green and the iPhone goes pink, especially when it's dark. And well, I have to admit that the oldest phone in the competition, Nokia 808, did the most accurate job here regarding the white balance. Concluding the white balance topic, I want to point out that this Nokia 808 has something that these two phones don't. It's a built-in anti-filter. So it's built into the camera, so you may turn it on or off and it will reduce the light coming through the lens. It's like putting sunglasses on or off. You'll have two photos with completely different moods and colors. I really have a feeling that it's like an extra lens on a decade-old phone. Well, it has some downsides, especially if you use it in the wrong place or forget to turn it off. For example, here it affected the white balance, though it did a good job on the Castle's tower. But here it completely desaturated the image, and we can't really fix it because it's a JPEG. But these two phones can shoot RAW photos, so we can get the actual information directly from the lens and edit it afterwards. Lumia's files are about 50 megabytes each, but if we switch to an iPhone, it can go up to 150 megabytes if we deal with a 48 megapixel RAW image. So iPhone's ProRAW photos are amazing to work with. If you wish to know more about RAW or ProRAW, feel free to watch my video about it. The link will be in the description. So ProRAW photos have lots of information and you can play around with the complicated shots and make any result you wish. You have the possibility to brighten the shadows but still rescue the highlights, or darken the picture if you want to. The Lumia RAW photos are fine. For that time they were mind-blowing. It won't give you as much flexibility, but if the scene is not too complicated, you may toss around with the light as well. However, it all changes when it becomes darker. It was actually not that dark, I just lowered the exposure when I was shooting. This is how it was in reality, by the way. But anyways, we can go back to this dark photo and do this to make it bright again, and it will look good. With Lumia, the colors start shifting once we do the same edits. So it's not that flexible when it's too dark or too bright. So in this case, I prefer to set the exposure in the camera right when I'm shooting, and then the result will be stunning right away. It works especially well at night when we can't rely on RAW and Lumia. All three phones do a great job here. And it's up to you to decide which mood you want to capture, the building or just the neon lights. Okay, enough about the colors, let's talk about the lenses. So we have three huge sensors here, and it means that we can actually make photos with bokeh. Have a look. These are the photos made by just one camera with no blur algorithms. It's just pure optics. Here's the same photo in the portrait mode, and you can definitely see the difference, can't you? Or here goes another example. Again, just optics, no algorithms. This is probably my favorite photo in this video. Let me know down in the comments what's yours, by the way. Oh, and by the way, if you want to download any of these photos to your computer to play around, the link will be in the description. I have to mention though that the main camera of the iPhone 14 Pro and 14 Pro Max doesn't have a perfect minimal focus distance. Sometimes Nokia phones could do a perfect bokeh shot, but the iPhone's result was quite blurry. Nokia still rocks, huh? And since we're talking about the huge sensors, let's check our cropping options. We can zoom in and crop the photos indeed because they are huge, but on both Nokia phones the results are a bit blurry on the edges. Some DSLR lenses have the same problem, so the problem itself isn't new, but the iPhone's edges are perfectly fine. This shot was made during a sunset, so we don't have much light here, and once we zoom in, we see that Nokia's photos are a bit blurry. iPhone's photo is the best here thanks to the deep fusion and the camera sensor, and by the way, this exact RAW photo is 92 megabytes. That's insane. So in general, I would say that we definitely can crop an image on all three phones, but on the iPhone we can go a bit further because the image is just more sharp and we're okay to zoom more. Oh, and during night, iPhone does its magic again, so it's definitely not a competition here. But I keep reminding myself how old are the Nokia phones, and the results that they provided back then are so ahead of time that we could even use them now with not so many limitations. Finalizing today's video, thanks if you watched it in full by the way, I have to say that it's still fun to compare these legendary phones with the recent flagships. While new algorithms produce flat photos without any feelings, the older camera phones can tell a story, express the mood, turn their imperfections into a unique look that will stand them out of others. And some results will even look like a good old film photography, and I will always appreciate that. Alright, I really hope you've enjoyed today's camera adventure, and be sure to be subscribed for more cool stuff that is coming really soon. It's been Alex, and see you at the Geeks Table. Bye bye!